Hi, welcome to Sunrise Therapy Center. This is Akia Selwa, and I want to get you up to date on something I've been working on. I've sent videos before about these journals that I'm creating, and I'm also today going to talk to you about the closure. Now, this is just a raw closure. I haven't done anything to the sides or any thing there, but I want to make one today. But I do want to show you how this is going to work. So the closure will go around the journal like this, something like this. Let's see, somewhere over here. Flip over. Um, Obviously, this is a little bit wide of a gap, but we'll work it out. And the journals will close like this. I want to show you, more importantly, how I made this piece here. On the inside is fabric. On the outside are pieces of menu paper. Menu paper is the paper that your fries might come on. It's the paper that your hamburger might come on. It's very thin, it's really flexible, and it holds paint really well. So using a glue stick, just glued it all over this fabric, collaging it. I have various different kinds and colors, which I'll show you in a moment, for the piece that we're going to work on here. And then I went through and sewed a zigzag stitch and a messy straight stitches across. And then when I finally put it together, I will do something to shore up these edges and then use the Velcro sticky tabs to hold it together. So let's get started with the collage piece. I'm going to show you some of it, and then I will show you the end later. You don't need to be watching me collage all this, or maybe you do. I don't know. All right, so you just need a piece of fabric. I prefer using cotton. I feel like it holds the glue better. I prefer using a glue stick versus other glues because it's thin enough that it doesn't gunk up my sewing machine, and it's really quick and easy. So I'm going to show you the different colors, this different color scheme that I have for the two journals that I'm going to be creating these closures for. I'm going to cut this thing in half, but I'm going to be using this color scheme. I've got a dark gold, blue with a lighter gold. This is blue with a darker medium gold. Here's a nice bright shiny yellow gold. And then this one is white and gold. And so mixing those up, I'm going to probably mix, like one side will have these in the background, and then maybe one side will have these in the background, so I can do the whole light dark kind of thing. Because what's really cool is that when you layer these pieces, you can actually see, sometimes you can actually see the other layer, and I really love that effect. Like here you can see the blue underneath the gold. And with one piece, it's not that impressive, but when you have a series of colors throughout, it really does shine through. All right, let me show you the journal covers that we're going to be covering that inspired this theme. Oh, and I also forgot. I also have these stickers. These are address labels. I don't know about you, but I'm not throwing free paper away. And what I did with the address labels is I just painted over them in this color scheme. I used a stencil that I made, and I just stenciled it all over. And I've just been taking pieces off, and you get some color, you get some texture. And so I'm going to be putting these throughout as well. And I really like that it's red, because red is here's the journal cover that I created. I haven't decided if this is going to be the front or this is going to be the front. I don't know. But what I really like is I used some iron oxide, and you can see little pops of like a rust color. And I thought this against it would be really nice. So I'm also going to be using these stickers, which don't stick that well. So I'll be using the glue stick on those. But anyway, here's the journal. There's another one that is in the same similar colorway, similar design. And for this one, I did the inside. This is my old jeans that I flicked some paint on, sewed around with white thread, and I think it came out pretty cool. All right, let's get started. It doesn't matter where you start. There's no, hey, this is the method. No, you get to decide for yourself. I like to start with the background color that I know I want to see the most in the back. So I'm going to start with these darker colors here for this top part, and then I'm going to start with these lighter ones on this side. And then the other ones I'll kind of mix in between. And I usually have, what is it? I usually have a piece of junk mail. I'm not going to flip it over because it has my address on the other side, and I don't want you coming to my house. Not yet. But I usually just take a piece of junk mail and use it as a glue, like a throwaway glue thing, so I don't get glue all over my fabric or on my desk. I like to leave a little bit of an edge so that I like to see a little bit of the fabric on the other side, so I'll probably do that. And I don't, I just kind of put them on there randomly, and don't worry about like being like, you know, litigious about getting every corner with glue. You just want to get enough on it so that it sticks down, because we're going to put layers on top of this, and then we're also going to be sewing over it, so trust everything will get glued down. Also, something I want to say about the thinness of the paper that I'm using is intentional. Like, this is super thin. It's so that this closure is, I think I want it this way. The closure, when it's done, is flexible. I did this with thicker paper just to test it out, and I did not like how it turned out. It was kind of bulky and inflexible. The paint cracked, the pieces popped off just because of the tension of the thicker paper. So this paper here that I'm using is actually a thin note card paper. You know how you take notes in science class. I use that, and then this one is just copy paper, and a cheap one. I think this was like recycled paper. And then what I really preferred is the wet strength tissue paper or the menu paper. Sometimes I like to use my bone folder just to make sure it's sticking, especially like that on top. But you definitely just want to use whatever flexible paper. If you have junk mail, you can paint over that and use those papers. Just make sure they are on the thinner side, if not a tissue paper. So got that down. I'm going to come back over, and my favorite part is just the layering part. Adding stuff, kind of trusting my intuition where I put pieces, but just like having a blank page, I just want to get some stuff down, and then I can work with what I'm seeing here, right? And this is kind of missy-matchy for me, but I also want to have some of these pieces on the lighter side as well. So I'm going to start popping them over on this side. So I'm going to keep working on this, and when I am done with the gluing down, if I remember, I will shoot some video or take some pictures so you can see how the collage turned out. And of course, you'll see the closure on one of the journals. But before I go, there is one thing that I do want to encourage you or remind you of. If you are using mediums that are not permanent, like a impermanent ink, oil pastels, color pencils, even like watercolor to color your papers. Um, and I would recommend sealing those mediums before you glue them onto the fabric, so that if maybe you want to add another seal, it doesn't, like maybe you want to cover it with matte medium or some type of um, non-spraying seal. I'm just saying this because y'all, I had one these that I put together. I was loving it, but I just also noticed that maybe I should have sealed it. Sealing it after the fact was a bad idea because I used matte medium and some of the ink started to run, and it pretty much ruined that um, fabric closure. I was very heartbroken, but I learned something, and I want to share that learning with you, so that you don't make the same mistake as I did, or maybe you do need to make it and know and own it for yourself. I ain't mad at you. I'm hard-headed too. So anyway, I'm just gluing these pieces on. Right now I'm just putting them just in random spots so it's spread throughout. And then also too, I found when I was doing this, and this is the last thing I'll say, I promise, um, is sometimes I didn't make enough papers of one tone. So sometimes I have to go back and make more papers, and that's fun too. Because I will tell you, when I was making these papers, I was not thinking about um, this using them this way. I'd like to tell you that I was strategic and I thought it out, but that's just not how my art works. My art is very intuitive and in the moment, and using, like, what do I have? These colors that I have at the time, this is the only paint that I had, literally. So this is what I used, and I really am grateful for how it turned out. All right, be back with you shortly, okay?